that song for many reasons, but that song gives credit to the one who should receive it. In keeping that which we have committed. We see that Jesus is the only one that can keep us in that which we have committed. Now this morning, I want to say thank you all for being here. I know we've got a few out for vacations and things like that, and I want to thank all the visitors this morning. I want to kind of address an elephant in the room today with what's going on over in Israel. This is just a short thing. I want us to remember to pray. Like Brother Gary said, we need to remember to pray for the peace of Israel. We're praying for the people of Israel, praying for those who are affected by the aggressions that have taken place in the last 5 days. I want us also to remember to pray for those Palestinians who are affected. We want to remember to we want to automatically say we're praying for Israel, but there are a lot of innocent people in Gaza that are being affected. There's going to be a lot of people, I'm afraid, that are going to be affected by this in the long term. So let's just remember to pray for peace over there and pray for those things that are for those people who are suffering, because it is going to be a humanitarian issue at some point. And I don't want anybody to think that this is the end. This is the end, because then I don't want you to sit on your haunches and not continue to do what we've been commissioned to do. We've always heard we will hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that this is the coming to fruition of Bible prophecy, but we don't know that. So we just continue to watch. In this morning's message, I want to focus on 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 8 and 9, because this tells us who we should really be worried about today. This tells us who our adversary is. Verse 8 and 9, it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world." Now, we have a picture here of a lion. If you'll look up, we see this is the picture that we automatically assume, or we automatically conjure in our head when we hear the term of a roaring, or as we see here, a roaring lion who is walking about, seeking whom he may devour. Right? This is the image that we see of an aggressive lion who's seeking to swallow us up, which is what that word devour means. It means to be swallowed up. This is the picture that we see. This is the image that we get of an aggressive lion, right? But truly what we see, or what is referred to here, is our next picture. Look how precious and cute that is, right? That is the lion that we are referring to. Not the big mean-looking lion, because they don't do the hunting, but this one does. This is the lion that we have to be worried about, because this is the one that seeks to devour. And isn't it just like Satan to hide behind a pretty face? We see this and we are conned into thinking that this animal, there's nothing wrong. This animal would never hurt us, would he? Would she? We see a lot of people that in our world today that really don't necessarily have the most common sense in the world. We see them on video all the time. They want to walk up and pet the bear cub at Yellowstone National Park, or want to walk up and get a selfie with the buffalo at Yellowstone. And what ends up happening, they usually get thrown 10, 15 feet in the air because it's cute, right? They're deceived by the appearance. That's what Satan is good at. He was good at deceiving through his appearance, because he was a beautiful angel. The most beautiful angel. So we look at this thing where it says that our adversary, the lion, our adversary, the devil, is like a roaring lion who walketh about, seeking whom he may swallow up. So this term, the title of this message is The Lion Never Sleeps. We have kids' movies out there and we have songs that the lion sleeps tonight, right? That is absolutely opposite of the truth. Lions hunt at night. They hunt in the darkness. If they sleep during the bright of day. But this lion, this adversary, never sleeps. And he's always looking for the most opportune time to devour. Now, we know this. We can look at this and we can point this out in nature, can't we? Lions usually will attack the weakest or the sick. The easiest target, right? You think Satan focuses on the hardest person or the most devout Christian out there? He's not going to focus on them. He's going to get the weak ones first. If there's a crack, he's going to get in it. And I like to compare Satan to East Texas or Texas highways. Because if there's a crack in the wintertime in a road, that rain's going to get in that crack, isn't it? And then when it freezes, it's going to expand, and what does it do? It makes a pothole. Well, that is the way Satan works. He'll get in the crack, and then he'll expose it. He'll make it much bigger than it ever was to begin with. But we see here that says, be sober, be vigilant. Now, Peter here, he's talking at one point, he was focusing on talking to the elders of these scattered churches that had been scattered out into different places. They had been scattered out into Pontus and Galatia, Cappadocia, and Asia, it says in the scripture, which is a Roman province in modern-day Turkey. It wasn't the entire continent, but and then also Bithynia. So he's addressing people in these outlying churches. He was addressing first the elders, but at the end of this was an exhortation that he was giving. At the end of this set of scriptures, at the end of 1 Peter, he was talking to everybody. He's talking to the young men too. So, and that's when he said, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Now, be sober, be vigilant. First thing in our head when we hear those terms today, the be sober, is to stay away from the alcohol, right? That's not what he's referring to here. He's referring to having self-control, to being controlled in your thinking. And we use that word sober. It's no coincidence that it's used when it talks about being affected by another form like an alcohol or a drug. Because what does that do? That takes away our self-control, doesn't it? A lot of people will refer to a bourbon as a Kentucky Courage or something like that. And there's a reason for that, because it takes away inhibition. You're no longer controlled in your thinking. And there are other things that do that, not just alcohol or drugs. We can be controlled by our thinking in all kinds of aspects of our life, in our sin. We can be controlled by, about something that you think about sin and how it can control your thinking. Selfishness, lust, greed. It can all control your thinking. And here it's saying to be sober, to control your mind, control your thinking, and be vigilant, be prepared. Be prepared, be aware. Keep your head on a swivel. Why? Why is Peter here? Why has God revealed to Peter through this why is he saying keep your head on a swivel? Because that's what he's saying. He's saying to always be aware, be self-controlled, Keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of your surroundings, because you never know what may be sneaking up on you. We as a church have a responsibility for each other, don't we? We have a responsibility. We hear the military term, "I've got your six." Y'all know what that means? That means that somebody's watching your back. Somebody is watching your most vulnerable part, is your back. But Peter here is telling us to be prepared, to be aware. We need to be watching our back and everybody else's. Because there's a lion out there who's seeking to swallow you up. Now, as believers, can Satan completely devour us? No, he cannot. But what can he do? He can distract us. How many of you have ever been distracted by Satan? I'm going to raise my hand. Twice. We've all been distracted by Satan, and that's where he's the master of deception. He is the master of distraction. Because if he can affect your witness, or if he can affect your thinking, he can distract you, he can eliminate you as a threat. You're not going to lose your salvation, but you're not going to be effective. You're not going to do what Jesus has asked us to do, what he has commanded us to do, to build the kingdom. If he can distract you from that goal, he will. We very much can be distracted from that goal. Satan is up for, he's got one thing in mind, and that's what he wants. He wants to satisfy, just as this roaring lion, just as this wanting to devour, he wants to get what he wants. He wants to satisfy his appetite. You know, Satan knows he's lost the war. You know that, right? He knows he's lost. But he's going to take as many of us as he can with him. He's going to try that. And if he can't take us, he'll distract us. He tries to destroy our effectiveness by destroying witness. And there are lots of ways he can destroy your witness. And we may not ever see it. We may not ever know that it happened. That he affected our witness with one person. And that's all it takes is one person. Because if you're out working in the yard and your lawnmower won't crank, and you're out there pulling on that thing and pulling on that thing and pulling on that thing, and what's the first thing you do? You get frustrated, right? You kick it and say an ugly word. Well, there might have been somebody next door that saw that and said, well, you know, that guy's supposed to be a Christian. Now, I'm not saying because we've all done it, but we need to be careful how we treat our witness. You know, we can be witnessing to somebody, and this is an old everyday thing. We can be witnessing to somebody on Thursday night and they see us in the bar on Friday night. Your witness at that point has been made ineffective. We have to care for our witness. There's all kinds of different things that I could get into about, you know, affecting your witness or even causing someone to stumble by your actions. But you know what those are. Everybody knows, they get that. They know how they can affect their witness. But he tries to convince us that it's not all that important to promote Jesus Christ to others. That's a way he distracts us, right? I can't do it. Christ commissioned us all to do it. one way or another. By saying, I can't do it, you're letting Satan win. He tells us that church services aren't that important as long as we attend part of the time. Right? Everything is fine. But let me tell you something. When you don't show up for church and you don't support your church, you are the one that's suffering. Because you no longer have somebody watching your back. And you may be needed to watch somebody else's back that Sunday. He convinces us in several ways that it's not that important. He keeps dangling the things of the world in front of us. How does he do that? And we've all seen the cartoon of the guy riding the donkey with the pole with the carrot hanging off of it. That's how he gets the mule to move, dangling the carrot. Well, Satan knows that works. Satan invented that tactic because he does it for us. What does he dangle in front of you to get you distracted? The fish are biting. First cold front of the year, let's go deer hunting. Oh, nobody's going to miss you at church on Sunday. Y'all know I poke at myself first, right? Some people, Satan for some people will NASCAR, football, a job, money. And there's all kinds of things out there that he'll dangle in front of us to distract us. One of the funny things about nature, and since we're using a lion, since there was a lion used here, and I'll bring up talking about trapping a bobcat. I have some experience with that. One of the ways that you trap a bobcat is you put something shiny above the trap, like a CD or a bird wing of some sort that moves in the wind and catches his eye because they're curious animals. And it'll draw them in to the trap. That's what Satan does. He dangles something shiny in our face. Right? And he's good at it. He invented this tactic. And he does it all to distract us. He gets you concerned about the world rather than concerned about Jesus. Can Satan be using the things that are going on in our world today to distract us? Absolutely. And he does. He uses distraction tactics. And I bet you can think of numerous ways that the devil tries to affect your witness. We all can. And they're all pretty much different. Because our crack is different from other people's. The crack that he can get into, or broken asphalt, is different from person to person. We each have our own weaknesses. And since he is always out there, he's never sleeping, we need to be sober. We need to be vigilant because he's hunting us. He's not hunting your soul as a saved individual, but he is hunting your witness. He is hunting your effectiveness for work for the kingdom. So Peter here is telling us to be mentally self-controlled. We cannot give ourselves over to the devil's way of thinking. We have to submit ourselves to the way that the Lord wants us to think. That's being sober. We need to be awake. We need to be watchful. If somebody told you that there was a rabid dog in your neighborhood, you'd be on the lookout for it, wouldn't you? Somebody told you there was a lion that escaped the zoo in Fort Worth and was last seen in Caddo Mills. You'd be looking for it, wouldn't you? I mean, that's just something that we do. We look for danger. But yet, we can completely not see Satan working because he's so good at it. Because we must, in verse 9, resist the devil. This is the same word that's used in James 4:7, where it says, submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Same word used. That word is anthistemi in the Greek. And it means to stand firm, to oppose, or to stand against. Stand against, oppose the devil at all costs. No believer can fight Satan alone. Now, we can't give Satan more credit than he's due. Just can't do it. Satan is not a god. He wants to be really, really bad. He wants to be equal to God, but he's not. He is not God. That means he is not all-knowing. He is not everywhere at once. He can't be. But he can be somewhere all the time. And he has his little demons. So we can't give him credit like saying the devil made me do it. Because he can't make you do anything. If you do it, it's because you choose to. But it says here to resist the devil. And if we can resist him, because it doesn't say here if you can resist him, it says resist him. It's definite. You can do it. If you can resist him, you can also choose not to. We must resist with faith. Steadfast in the faith. Where is it that we place our faith? Solely in Jesus Christ alone, right? Jesus Christ is the one who can uphold us. We as church family can help. But our true backup comes from Jesus. We must depend on Jesus, who has the power over the devil. Like I said earlier, the devil's already lost the battle, right? So he can't do anything that Jesus doesn't know about. So we look at that, and we look at the way that we can resist the devil by depending on Jesus. And Jesus himself gave us examples examples of resisting Satan all through Matthew 4, 1 through 11. Through the days of the temptation. It says, then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. Great example there. What did he do? He dangled something shiny in front of Jesus' face. You're hungry. Let's eat some bread. But, he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and saith unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands thou shalt bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. There he tempted him with immortality. God says he'll protect you. Now, that is a very important thing there. Jesus has got a different outlook and knowledge of things like that. But we have gone through a time in the last several years where there was a lot of people that would use this verse saying that they would do exactly what Satan was there. And y'all all know it. We dealt with things about masks and nations and all kinds of things that, it was one of those things, either you did it or you didn't. But they said God would take care of us, right? He didn't take care of everybody. Well, He did in one way or another, but we have to look at that. We can't lean on a shovel and pray for a hole. And that's very important. Because Satan here has told Jesus, if you jump off this thing, God will send the angels and you won't even hit your foot on the ground, which is true. But what did Jesus say after that? Jesus said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And then again, the devil taketh him up to an exceeding high mountain and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said unto them, all these things I will give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Again, there's a temptation with power and money. And Jesus said unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him. And behold, angels came and ministered unto him. He resisted the devil, and the devil left. Did the devil forget about him? Did that mean the devil quit trying? But in that particular instance, and I think our lives are built around these instances, that we are tempted by Satan. We are tempted by the world. And we resist or we don't. We do them both. There are times that we resist, and then there are times that we don't. That doesn't mean that Jesus has forgotten about us. That doesn't mean that Jesus is no longer with us. It just means that we made a choice. One day we made Jesus smile, one day we made the devil smile. But as believers, we rest in the hope and we rest in the assurance that we know Jesus Christ and we will spend eternity with Him. Therefore, I pray anybody out there that does not have that relationship, that does not know Jesus Christ, will come to that saving knowledge. Will investigate it. Will question. Will ask about it. Will come to Jesus Christ as their Savior and their Lord. Allow Him to save them first, and then allow Him to lead them. Because when we do that, and only when we do that, can we rest assured that the danger of eternal death from that lion is no longer there. It doesn't say that the lion will quit hunting us. But what it basically says is that lion can't kill you. Not spiritually. And there's power in that, isn't there? There's power in knowing that when you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, the devil, he can make life hard on you. He can run you down. He can make you tired. But he can't have you. And like I said, there's power in that. There's assurance. There's power in that assurance and knowing that Jesus is far bigger than that lion. And that's what I pray for everybody today. I want us to think about this lion, this Satan in our lives, who's on the loose. He is running around us today, every day. trying his best to tempt us just a little. Trying today to cause us to make the wrong choice. I want us to think about that. Think about that. My challenge for us this week is to acknowledge the fact that he's there. Because far too often, it's far too easy for us to concentrate on Jesus and forget about Satan. And when you forget about Satan, you drop your guard. When you forget about your adversary, you open yourself up to being affected by him. You don't turn your back on your enemy, do you? If there's a mean dog running down the street, running right at you, do you just turn away from him and just hope he doesn't bite you? Or do you face him? Back away slowly. Or face him and kick at him or whatever you're going to do. But typically you're not going to turn your back on him because you want to see the danger coming. And when we ignore Satan, we turn our back on him. And when we turn our back on him, he can have all kinds of effect on us. Like I said, he can't have your soul. But he can surely make life miserable, can't he? As we have a song of invitation. Now this altar is open not only for people to come forward and